The path of least resistance is what you will choose, even if it's a terrible choice. So you have to realize that there is that fear, but all growth is going to come from that. I mean, who doesn't have that element?
Taking the path of least resistance. There's actually a lot of science and studies and philosophies around this. Well, today I sit down with Rabbi Simon Jacobson. This conversation could change your life. Make sure you listen all the way through to the end. Today's video is sponsored by Mulliganbrothers.com. Get ready for 2024 with the link in the description where there is a sale on now with the Memento Mori posters that remind you you're going to die. The interactive posters, they will make a great gift for Christmas and it will get you highly motivated to live your life with passion and purpose. I stare at this every day and trust me, there is no way I'm not working hard with that staring in my face. And also the Not a Journal Success Journal that actually leads to success is linked down below, now on sale, to get ready for 2024. Before that, let's dive into the video.
I think before we were talking about being paralyzed by fear and not doing anything, but there's some people who need change in their lives, but they're so scared of what that looks like and they decide to stay in the middle. There was, I can't remember who it was, but I heard this online recently, that there is a middle of bearability, that it's like it's not quite good, it's not quite bad, but it's enough that people will stay there, but people are so fearful of taking the leap to what is good that they remain in this sort of middle ground for their whole lives.
Path of least resistance, yeah.
The path of least, I mean, let's start with that then, the path of least resistance. Yeah, that's fantastic.
I'll start with the story with myself when I was a child. I remember I was in the summer bungalow colony, my parents, my family, friends, and I had learned to swim. I was a pretty good swimmer in the swimming pool. I would go swimming every day, but then I wanted to dive. I wanted to learn how to dive. And for some strange reason, I would go up on the diving board and I was afraid to jump. I just had this irrational fear. And it wasn't because I was afraid of water. I swam. I knew how to swim. So I remember I used to think to myself, why am I afraid to dive? Okay, I said, maybe the diving board's too high up. Let me dive from the edge of the pool. So I stood there, also wouldn't dive. And then you start playing all these games with yourself. You know, okay, I'm going to count down from 10 to 1. And I count, then you have some excuse, I'll count again. Okay, I'll count from 100 to 1. Count from 1,000 to 1. So a whole summer passed and I never dived. I was afraid to dive. And it was the strangest thing because again, I was thinking to myself, what are you afraid of? What's going to happen? Your stomach will split up? You know, they have this thing. Anyway, the next summer, same story. I did the same thing. And then I decided, you know what, I'll try a new trick. Instead of just standing on the edge of the pool, I'll sit and I'll just drop myself in. You know, it's not such a big drop. And even that, for some reason, I just had this crazy fear. And finally, a friend of mine snuck up behind me without me knowing, and he just pushed me in when I was trying this thing. And that was it. I got over my fear. He pushed me in, and I swam, and then I went back, and I dived from the edge of the pool, and then from the diving board. I got over the fear simply because someone pushed me. But I always, as an adult, tried to analyze, what was this? I stood on the ground, that was not a problem. I have no problem being in the water. What was the concern, the fear? Is my theory. The fear of change, which means standing on the ground, we know how to do. You know how to swim in the water, but that split second, you're not in the water and not on the ground, is the fear, a certain unknown. What it was, it's like a suspension. And I realized that we are all concerned, the transition of change is fearful because you're not used to it. It's something new. And we always gravitate to that which was comfortable for us, that which is easy, we're secure with it. But on the other hand, all growth comes only when you change. Because if you stay, like they say, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Or I like to put it, if you think what you thought, and you say what you said, and you do what you did, you know what you're going to have, what you had. It's a mathematical certainty, because nothing's changed. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. But there's a fear because there is a change of the climate, a change of environment, of atmosphere. And that was it's my own psychological theory. And I think it's critical that people realize that growth is always going to come with some discomfort. And that's where the path of least resistance comes in. I say it always to people. I said, if you're more comfortable in this painful situation, you're going to stay there. It'll only be when it's less comfortable to stay there than to move. Like you see this, God forbid, the Stockholm syndrome of people who stay in relationships that are abusive. A woman will stay in a marriage where her husband beats her physically. You think this is crazy. But it's the known evil. And the path of least resistance, until that mother sees her husband being a threat to her children or something else shakes her up, she starts lowering her resistance. I said, I can live with this. It's my fault, so find no excuses. But that's what people do. The path of least resistance is what you will choose, even if it's a terrible choice. So you have to realize that there is that fear, but all growth is going to come from that. I mean, who doesn't have that element? When we go into adolescence, when we leave our home every child cries when you go to school the first day or camp. There's the unknowns, but that's how you become an independent person. So you need the proper balance. I'm not suggesting anyone has to do anything radical, but every metamorphosis is going to require a transition. And the transition, I'll use an expression from mystical teachings, that there's a state of being. To get to a new state of being, you need to go through a void, a vacuum. You need to shed one layer of skin to assume a new layer of skin. There's no other way. And that's always life. Creativity is always going to be followed by frustration. Because the more creative, the more novel is the new energy, the more the discomfort is going to precede it. Disruption has to be seen as a stepping stone toward higher states of growth, toward a paradigm shift.
A lot of the things we've spoken about in our previous conversation as well was having awareness to be able to change. And it was a bad situation that created that awareness for change. But again, in these situations, could you just speak on the reality of that? And is it something you see quite a lot?
Is the only catalyst for change greater pain or greater challenge? Unfortunately, in many cases, that's the way, because that's human nature. If you're comfortable, what's going to motivate you to move? I meet people and I say, you're too comfortable. If you're very comfortable, God bless you. I'm not here to make you uncomfortable. Someone once told me they'd like to make me a business card. You make happy people miserable and miserable people happy. If someone's too happy, they're not going to grow. But it's not my job to wake them up, So there's no catalyst that's better than a painful situation. I would love to say that a person who's in a painful situation should have an epiphany or something. They suddenly see the light and they say, this is not acceptable. But if someone's been breathing toxic air for years, they get used to it, to the point they'll say, it's not so bad. They're living in darkness. I got used to it. It's not so bad. But healing, what they call awareness, is half the process of healing. If you're not aware of a problem, if you're minimizing it, denial is another one. So unfortunately, in many cases, it comes through something where you finally hit rock bottom, as they say. Something really shows you this is not acceptable. But are there exceptions? Of course there are. I've seen people, a moment of grace, or someone they met, or something they saw, and they realized, what am I doing to my life? And that's what we like to do. I mean, when I meet with people, they come speak with me, and many people do. I don't try to read them the riot act and tell them how bad this is. I try to wake them up the other way around, showing them there's a better alternative. But unfortunately, sometimes recognizing how bad it is what wakes people up. But it could come through light, it can come through darkness. We always try to do it through light, through something positive, being exposed to something positive, A lot of people don't even realize what healthy love is. They've been so exposed to unhealthy love, so they expect that. When you show them, 1 second, I'll show you another approach to love. And they say, really? I didn't know that. I didn't know that people love each other, actually are kind to each other. I thought, you love each other, you always hurt each other. There are people who have told this to me. I remember one sitting right here, and I had a woman was sitting to my right. She was gone through a very traumatic childhood. And I don't know, I reached out my hand to go pick up a napkin or something, and she flinched. I said, why are you flinching? She said, I thought you were going to slap me. I said, why would I slap you? She said, because that's what I'm used to. I used to get slapped by her loved ones, so to speak. So here I'm being kind to her. So the next thing she thought, I'm going to slap her. It was irrational. She apologized, but I've suddenly realized her reality has been so jaded and so distorted that she thinks that's natural, that she's going to be, for no reason, like, you know, and that's unfortunate. So hopefully we can wake people up without having to hit rock bottom, but sometimes that's how it happens.
And there you go, another wonderful video from Rabbi Simon Jacobson. If you want to hear more from Rabbi Simon Jacobson, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell because we've done a ton more interviews with him. And also keep your eyes peeled on Spotify, Apple, and all those kind of places where the podcast is, because there's a couple full episodes to come on there too. I'll link Rabbi Simon Jacobson's socials down below, but I do recommend going out and buying his book, Toward a Meaningful Life. I am reading it for the second time. There's 4,000 years of history, philosophy, faith, all in this book, and it's absolutely fantastic. There's so much depth in there. I really do recommend it. So yeah, thank you to Rabbi Simon Jacobson. Thank you to you guys as well who have supported us, subscribed, hit the notification bell, shared the videos, and anyone who's bought the Inspire Change t-shirt. I've seen a couple of you guys out now in New York wearing these things. A couple of you have approached me. I want to say thank you to everyone who's approached me and spoke to me on the streets. If you see me on the streets, I have a microphone, I have a camera, come up to me, get your message on camera too. Let's share your story, your inspiration with the world. That's the mission, to inspire change. Everybody relates to different people, and that's why we try and interview as many people as possible. Also, now on at Mulliganbrothers.com, there is a sale to get you ready for 2024 with these two amazing tools, the Memento Mori poster, a poster that reminds you are mortal and in fact will one day die. This is my poster right here. There's a square on there that I will not fill in somewhere, and that's an extremely humbling experience. And it means that I live with passion and purpose in my life. This poster with the frame is now on sale with the link in the description, and also the Not a Journal Success Journal that actually gets you success and makes you achieve your goals is now available as well on sale with the link in the description. So get ready, stock up for 2024, make those gifts for your friends and family, and help support this movement where we put everything back into getting as many interviews as possible. I have 6 more interviews that I have to go out and shoot for the end of the year, so we're squeezing it in. Hopefully I'll book even more, but then we also have 6 other interviews that have been unreleased yet. So there's 12 at least new documentaries, there's 12 full podcast episodes, there's about 40 or 50 videos coming out on the Mulligan Brothers channel. So hit subscribe, hit notification, if that sounds like something you're interested in. Thank you for watching, guys. We will continue to pursue this no matter what. Have a blessed and productive day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.